The spring and summer months gave you an opportunity to do May Day, in which men and women wrote poems to one another in grand processions, and little flowers were tossed in the air by sweet children.
So remote was Shepherdstown from the movement of the great, great world that some old customs and traditions lingered there long after they had fallen in disuse elsewhere. Our May parties were as much a part of spring as the apple blossoms. These May parties may have had a German origin, since Shepherdstown was originally called Mecklenburg and largely settled by Germans from Pennsylvania. They followed a well-defined tradition which does not seem to have been English. In advance, a queen was chosen, I have forgotten by what process, but she was always one of the prettiest girls in the neighborhood, also a Flora and the especial maids of honor. The other girls were also maids of honor, to the number of a dozen or more, I believe, but were deemed less important. Somebody was then petitioned to write for each girl, those for the Flora and the queen being naturally the longest, and it was thought desirable to have them quite new each year. My cousin Edwin had quite a knack for these poems and was in great favor accordingly. They were learned by heart and much practiced to ensure graceful delivery. A pleasant place was then chosen, as if for any picnic. Our own grove was a favorite. So was Morgan Spring, just beyond Lemon Grove on the river. Here in the open air, a throne was erected, between two trees if possible, and always with an eye to picturesque grouping and effect. It was canopied with hangings or covered with green boughs and flowers. On the important afternoon, all the girls, dressed in white, wearing wreaths and carrying baskets of flowers, marched out in procession by twos, arranged according to height, the smallest first, and the queen with her two special attendants on either hand walking last. The queen alone wore no wreath, but her crown, with which they tried to always have the choicest blossoms and different from the others. One year, lilies of the valley were carried by her attendant. The maids arranged themselves with regular evolutions and such solemnity in two lines, forming a lane to the throne. Up this lane Flora advanced, strewing flowers profusely and repeating the verses written for her. They arrived at the foot of the throne, and she turned and made a long metrical speech to the queen, who finally advanced between her two supporters. These then delivered their poems in turn. The queen knelt on the throne steps, and the owners put the crown upon her head when she was seated with such ceremony upon the throne. Immediately rising, she made her speech, the poem of the day, to which the others were merely introductions. Then, reseating herself, she was greeted by every girl in turn, advancing in couples, beginning with the tiny little tots at the end of the line, who could only pipe out, "Happy, happy, happy day! Mary or Ida is the Queen of May." Each repeated her verses and laid her offering of flowers upon the throne steps, and had to make two bows or curtsies, which she well knew were being criticized by many eyes. When all had paid tribute, the queen again rose and thanked them in shorter pieces, descended the throne steps, and headed the procession to the especial table, set under the trees and reserved for her and her suite. The spectators picnicked about in more informal fashion as they pleased. The committee in charge was not burdened with their entertainment beyond providing the spectacle. Now everybody took this performance very seriously. To be chosen queen was a valued tribute to the girl and gave her a certain position for the whole year. Her demeanor was quite openly compared with her predecessors, and every girl in the procession knew that her walk, appearance, and manner of making her speech and presenting her flowers were keenly criticized.